I'd like to get Stacie on to talk about the Vision Quest Community School.
I'm
Stacie
Stacie Colaprete, for those of you who are not here when we first ran around and introduced ourselves.
How do you spell your last name?
Colaprete.
Thank you.
I'm from the Susan B. Anthony Neighborhood Association, and also one of two parents on the board for the potential creation of a new teacher-led school. We are currently in negotiations with the district, and what we're doing at this point is going around to various communities, trying to find out if we have support from that community to move into the community. Having experience with the Susan B. Anthony Neighborhood Association, I understand that not everything is wanted when you, come up with this great idea that you think is so wonderful, but it's not always wonderful to everybody. So at this stage, we're just reaching out to people, getting their thoughts and feedback, trying to find out what kind of support we would have for a new school like this. The model for our school, the leadership element of our school would be teacher-led, community-led, parent-led, equal parts. We would have a very strong emphasis on members of the community being involved. In fact, as everyone has been talking about, getting the community in, and the why, and why don't we do this, why don't we do that, that's something that would be built right into our model. We've even discussed specifically hiring parents and community members for various positions to integrate it further, integrate the community further into the school. At this particular point, we don't plan on having a principal per se, or a traditional administration. It would be, more of a roundtable sort of thing. We do have a teacher with his administrative degree who would fill that obligatory role. But at this stage, we're looking to minimize that top-down sort of a structure. We would like to see a school of the caliber of like Genesee Community Charter move in here that would make young parents want to move here. We see that as a benefit for the community to draw people into the neighborhood. The housing is still interesting and inexpensive here. It's a great place to start out, start a family, and we would like to be integral in that process. And in involving people as much as possible, we want to put a strong emphasis on creating civic-minded children from a very early age. This is pre-K through 6, by the way. I think I mentioned that first. We believe that teaching kids to be good citizens at a very young age translates into a better neighborhood 10, 15 years from now. Let's see, where else? I did just a couple of other things that people said that I wanted to mention. You mentioned the Landmark Society. I don't know if anybody remembers the mess with the white church on West Main Street and the demolition.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
well, that was me, my house next door to it. My house is 130 odd years old, and this is an argument that I've been having with the city. That's an old church, and it's more the value in it was they determined more for the community than for the historic structure of it. So there's another aspect where you can look at the historic value of a building like 44. But the other thing is to just defend the Landmark Society a little bit, because I've worked with them a lot in the past couple of years. This is a small organization. There are many, many, many buildings in the city of Rochester, and generally the Landmark Society will assume that your building is your responsibility, and they don't want to come knocking on everybody's door, making sure that they're taking care of their, things that are supposed to be privately taken care of. However, if you approach them, they are there for you and extremely helpful, very knowledgeable. I also happen to work for an engineering firm that designs a lot of the MEP renovations in the school district. And I have no idea all the reasons of everything. I have read the master plan. But a lot of those issues are strictly for safety and code, and it's a shame that you have to spend the money and dump the money into a building that you don't know if you're gonna keep, but you have to keep it safe, and you have to keep the heat on, even if it's only for a couple of years, and those are just some tough decisions that occasionally have to be made, for better or worse. Let's see. Another aspect of the school that we would like to create is heavy on the project-based learning. That would be a big focus. You want to take things like, gardening and touch on every subject as you teach kids to plant a garden. The math, carpentry, if you're building a raised bed, like the chemistry of the soil, everything. We want to, give projects to each grade and make them carry out for a long period of time. We also want to be heavily focused on the arts. While other schools are cutting back on their arts programs, we believe that the research is there to support the children who study the arts do better in everything else. And we don't want to sacrifice that. A couple of other things that I could talk about. My position in this whole mess as a parent, and most of the others are teachers, is mainly to hold the school district accountable for many of the things that you've complained about. I can say it without any sort of fear of reprisal. This whole thing, at least for me, sprung out of the need to send my son somewhere. Currently, I live on West Main Street. I truck my child all the way over to 52 every day.
Which is what?
Which is Farmington Road over by Merchants. And it all just came from, not knowing where to send him. They wanted to send him way up north, and his childcare was on the east side, but they wanted to pick him up and then drop him back off, and then bring him all the way up there, then bring him all the way back to the east side, and then bring him all the way. It was just like too ridiculous for words. So part of my involvement came from my own son and concern for him, and honestly a little bit of like, I don't want him to get bored sitting at a desk all day. I want more. I know how I was as a student, and I want to have more interesting activities throughout the day. I guess
Tracy,
that's...
did you say you're writing this as a charter proposal or as
No, this is not a charter
You're
school.
writing this
This is
as-
not a charter school, and thank you for bringing that back up. We do not want to be a charter school, and that seems to be a big concern over there. We believe we want to stay as part of the district.
Okay, that's
We
what I-
want the system to work. And it doesn't always work, but we want to see it work, and but what we need is to come up with something comparable within the district. These charter schools are all springing up, and that's great and that's wonderful. And personally, I don't care if the district shrinks. From a parent perspective, who cares who's educating the children as long as the children are getting a quality education? However, I was a teacher myself also, so I share many of these same sentiments that you do. I want to see it work. I want to be able to send my kid to a school within my community. And if the district has to shrink a little bit to make that happen, to be more responsible, as far as I'm concerned, take as much of the power out of their hands and give it back to the parents and the people as possible. Not everybody. That's me personally. Well, I was going to speak for everybody on everyone else on the board there. But no, we don't want a charter school.
Your group is writing this as in response to Superintendent Vargas's request to have some different kinds of schools.
Yes.
parent,
The most
community teacher
extreme
led.
form it might take is consortium. We're also looking at magnet, as long as we could safeguard it so that it would remain a true magnet.
How do you have a community magnet school? Because magnet kind of draws people from all over the place.
That is still up for debate. We've talked about giving people in the immediate vicinity first dibs on lottery system, or, you know, like I said, what we have is a living, evolving document, and we probably won't get everything that we want if we want to stay in the district. That's just one of the prices we're gonna have to pay for a little more freedom. You know, but we certainly, for anything like that, we're certainly looking for ideas.
Why do you not want to be a charter school?
For exactly the reason that they said, we want the system to work. We don't want to take the money from the system and run, you know. We want it to be accessible to the kids here. Charter schools get filled up with parents who are in the know. and the ELL students,
Don't go
like
there.
you said before, their parents aren't as involved. They're not, or they're not as educated on their options. Sometimes we get left behind a lot. We want something that is like really ingrained in the place, in the community that it's in. We want support from local businesses. We want to work with local businesses to give students a chance to get real world experience, even at a very young age. We certainly would want to partner with the Y. We have commitments from RIT, the Good Food Collective, the Women in Engineering program are already sponsoring our efforts.
So-
I can,
So you, see if I understand this. So as a parent, you're not happy with the city schools. Am I getting that clearly?
that's correct. I
But-
love the school that my son goes to. Don't get me wrong, 52 is great, but it's 52. It's on the other side of the city
It's on
to
the
me,
other side
and
of the
there's
river.
nothing for us here. You know,
And if
I'm
we
just
keep,
sitting here
West
listening
Side.
to everything you've said, and I'm just thinking, I've been at 44 for 14, 15 years. We started out as 700 plus. We had a phenomenal performing arts school.
It was a
that-
magnet school.
That, if you came and saw, it would rival Pittsford and Brighton. I mean, we would just laugh. I mean, our performing arts program was incredible, which led into our partnership with Jiva. I mean, 44 had all this. We just need to get it back. And we need to take ownership. I mean, I spent, 2 years ago, the science teacher and I spent a day. Yeah, we had a $10,000 grant. We have $10,000 of science equipment that is sitting in that science lab that is not being utilized. We have partnerships. We had Bausch and Lomb come in, we had RIT, we had Xerox. I mean, Wolf Trap. I mean, we have all this great things that we need, so they cut it.
this might be some place where we can work together though, because what the difficulty that we have right now is, without saying it directly, what Vargas wants is for us to take over a failing school. And I think most people would agree that that doesn't work. You can't just swoop in, like, force all the parents to conform to your educational ideologies, get the students all on board, like, smack all the teachers to, like, agree with whatever it is you're doing. It just, there's no
It can happen.
teamwork there.
It has happened.
And it
It
has
has
also
happened.
failed in the city already, that
It's
multiple
hard.
times.
Teacher-led
So we-
schools are, I mean, have you read the book about, what was I'm trying to think of, the author. Diane Ravitch?
No.
No.
RTA put on a seminar, and a lot of us went to it, and I'm in the midst of reading the book. It's a lot of work, and I can't think of the title, and I forgot to bring it with me. But I mean,
The
it's a
Boston
huge.
teachers?
Yes, the Boston,
Yes.
yes.
I was there
Yes.
at that seminar. So
And it was a
I don't
great
remember
seminar,
the book.
and it's a lot of work. I mean, we have to pick one area and try to focus in on it, and then add into it each year. Because I mean, it's an overwhelming thing, and to go into a school that's not doing well, or that might need some additional support. I mean, it's gonna take a lot of work, but I mean, I think a lot of people, if interested, would be able to help and give good input, because I mean, a lot of us who are sitting around here right now, we've been in this building for a while, we don't wanna see it fail, and we have a vested interest in it.
And it's not so much about the school, we have to look at the overall problem here, because most of the schools in the district are failing. So I don't know why all of a sudden 44 is under this microscope, and we
Right.
don't wanna look at the real issues which come from downtown. If we keep cutting programs that we just talked about, then what outcome are you gonna have? Instead of closing schools, because now you're sending a message to the community that we don't want your kids, because we're gonna close them, so you go to charter school. So that's really the message that's being sent out there. So that's been, all that you hear about is we're gonna close schools, not about we're gonna try this, we're gonna put our monies over here and provide extra support to the schools that are failing. I've not once heard that. I don't.
So I just want to finish so everyone can keep talking. So back to the beginning. What we want to know is if people support this. Certainly, we're looking for teachers. If 44 is open to a partnership of some sort where we could compromise with the district on not taking over a failing school, not closing a school, somehow working together to keep 44 opened, but change it a little bit, or a lot.
Was it hinted that the Vision Quest school would be taking over 44?
No, not at all.
The,
I'm saying that
the only
here,
person
here.
who
If
saw
you-
that was me. That's one of the reasons I
This is a great
invited
sign,
some of you to
that
pull
she's coming
together
to the
in
community.
case there's some symbiotic possibilities here.
Yeah, because we don't. I mean, we don't want to move in and just stomp on toes, but you know, with everything that is happening in at least my corridor where I'm living, I feel like this is a great neighborhood with potential for growth, and we would like to target it, and specifically say collecting people to go to the district and say, hey, we want that here, and start bombarding the district office to give us a little more leverage.
Will they be responsible for providing you with a facility?
Yes.
How many teachers do you have on board? So like I'm trying to get at the mix of like, if you were to collaborate with an existing,
Well, we do not have enough teachers yet.
okay, so
I'm gonna pass. This is. I'm not sure that this is. The
Yeah, he's
most recent
coming
copy,
back.
And I'm sorry, I don't have enough copies to pass this around. But if you're interested and you want to be on the email address, I will send you an electronic copy of this proposal. Suggestions, later meetings.
And how are
You know,
you gonna?
if to
question.
get this done and keep 54 open, we can do it, then we should.
How are you gonna
Look at
fund it?
It's the district. That's why it's a district school.
So how do you not run into the same issues that we're running into now?
We would have an independent budget. We would have full control over our budget. Nobody wants to lock the supply cabinets.
It's like the district's effort instead, Vargas has said, I mean, I believe, I don't have any reason to not believe the mayor. He has said he supports these new kinds of schools because we need to do something different because we're failing. And he doesn't want to see charter schools. So this is a way to try to do something different in the city school district without having a charter school come and take a building
But he
over.
also wants neighborhood schools. And
That's right,
3 out of 3 we've been struck.
right.
Have been struck, what do you mean?
Well, they tried 16 to close, they tried 10 to close, and now they're trying 44 to close.
Yeah,
So,
I have to
school.
apologize because I think the reason that 44 got struck is we succeeded with 16 and 10, and then they said, let's look and see if 10 is really the one that should be
and they
closed.
looked at one and another one that was like in the
Yeah, there were
southeast.
5 of them.
Yeah, so they
true.
made some comparisons.
But 44 in one of the models was on the list for facilities modernization.
yeah.
And that's what I thought, that's what we all thought at first that they were going with, and then all of a sudden, it's switched.
Could you make sure you post that on location 19?
I can put that on location
Yeah.
19. Also, if you ever, we have our email set up at Vision Quest Community School at Gmail. That's a general email address that all of us have access to. So if you send anything there, somebody will get back to you. We're also posting we have a Facebook page where people are just
Yeah.
sounding off right
And
now.
also for, because I'm hearing like a lot of people don't know like what's going on, and I'm gonna say 2 places to go. One is honestly, go to the RCSD, go to board docs, read what's gonna be on the agenda. It's always on there before the meeting. I do it all the time. The other place to go that I get most of my information is Flower City Parents Forum. They know everything before we do, and there's a lot of good discussion. You don't have
And, you know, as I'm hearing some of this, I know I don't know if you know Robin Bettman. There's a video on location 9, a link on location 19 to one of his presentations, but you want to say a couple of words about some of your background? Because I think
Well-
it could be handy here.
It's a lot of background, but basically I'm functioning as an education consultant along with all the schools need help, but you were on the right track and you got all these resources. Let's put them to use. And what I do is I facilitate a process of people recognize their role, including the community, the parents, everybody, and then build their plan around that, and then everybody knows what their function is in doing that. And I'll be willing to help you with what you're doing with putting this plan together. So anyway.